Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, to those who are joining us live and on YouTube, and those joining us here in person. We really appreciate you being here today. We have a couple of exciting things coming up. I do like to showcase things that are going on in the community as well sometimes, and several of my dear friends are doing an art show that's happening today, this Sunday, until 4 o'clock. So if you don't have other plans yet, you should definitely head down to the Nob Hill Bed and Breakfast. It's right in Flint. If you didn't know already, yes, there's a beautiful bed and breakfast in Flint, Michigan. Definitely go check it out. They will have metal art, they're going to have jewelry, they'll have paintings, many different things. I believe there's 6 different artists that will be there. It's definitely well worth your time and fantastic to get a kickstart on getting that holiday shopping done. So I hope you'll go down and check them out. I also wanted to let you know on December 11th, I'm going to be doing a crystal grid class. This is going to be a very, very basic introduction to the crystal grids class. So it's going to be at Right Natural Health. We'll start right at 6 o'clock. If you can arrive a little early, that would be great. That way you can meet everybody else, get situated and everything, because we have a lot we're going to cover, and it's from 6 to 6:45, and it's actually going to show you how to make your crystals work for you. So if you're drawn to crystals, if you like having crystals in your house, and you know they have certain purposes, but you're not quite sure how to make them work for you, this class is for you, because we're going to cover how to set up healing grids, how to basically make your crystals work for you. So I hope you'll join us December 11th at Right Natural Health. That's in Flint, Michigan. If you can arrive around 5:45, that would be perfect. And it'll be our introduction to crystal grids. Now with that, today we wanted to talk about how to make life work for you. Because I talk a lot about manifesting your destiny, creating your fate, and how we can all create the life of how you can create the life of your dreams. Well, how do you do that? I see people sometimes struggle with how do you put all of the different things into place? How do you create the life of your dreams? How do you know what to do? Where do you put your focus on? Can you just think something and make it happen, or is there a little bit more to that? And a lot of times I see people kind of just hope that life will start to fall into place. Or I also see the flip side of that, where people struggle and they work and they work and they work, and it seems like things are just not falling into place the way they want them to fall into place. So where do you identify those barriers? Where do you figure out what you need to do? And how do you make life work for you?
That's a totally different approach than I thought you were taking with this.
Let me hear how you were explaining it, because we've been talking about this.
Yes, and then that happened.
And that's what I love about working with you, because we have such different ways to approach
this way when
things.
I think we're going this way. So it's all, hey, it all works. It's always,
and isn't life just like that too, though? Life, sometimes you feel like you're exactly on one track.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're on the wrong freaking freeway.
And not that it's wrong. We talk a lot about that too.
Exactly,
it's not good or bad. It's
there's
not
no
right or
there's
wrong.
no right and wrong. There's only what's right and wrong for you.
so Howard, you.
Well, no. Well, what we were talking about, part of where I thought we were kind of going with this was the whole, like in life. So if we let's say the norm. Let's like as a point of reference, the norm life. So the norm life would be like grow up, high school, maybe college, get a job, do your thing, basic family, cubicle job, whatever. Have kids, couple grandkids, and you pass on. We'll call that
pattern.
The norm, and just as a basic. But there are so many people that, like nowadays, that are really trying to find who they are. And people, they have such amazing, I think we're all born with something special, like we'll call it a gift. And well, like you have many. But we've met so many people that have gifts, whether it's something as simple as like you're really good at math, or if it's something like if you can talk to the other side, or if you can heal people, or if you're really good at art, or the gift that you have. If you decide you don't like the norm life has a set amount of energy that you have to put up, and I think we've kind of set the society to, it's kind of the minimalist amount of energy that you have to put out to have life work for you. And but if you have a gift and you care enough about that gift to make it happen, the trouble is that to make that happen, you actually have to put out more effort. The fact of having a gift means you have to work harder in life to make it work out in the way that would be ideal for you. And I think a lot of people, one of the things, like I think the portrayal of having a gift, if you're good at something so it comes easier to you, that idea that it comes easier to you means that your life's going to be easier to deal with. And I think it's opposite of that. And I think that's where we get kind of stuck in a rut in a lot of when we're approaching our life, is that instead of it being easier because we have a gift, it actually takes more work and more time and more energy. And then yes, but you also get the chance to get more out of life. So
exactly, yeah. And one of the first steps a lot of times is identifying what your gift is. Everybody has specific abilities, and we hear that phrase a lot of follow your passion and you can turn it into what you do in life too. And that seems to be a hang up for a lot of people. How do you make what your passion is be something that you can focus on to make money with, to be your main focus in life
and to drive your life forwards.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's the big part, driving your life forwards with it, exactly. And so how do you, one, identify what that is? Most people,
Right.
if you take some time, you can go within and you know what fuels you, you know what your passion is, you know what lights you on fire, what really excites you. And so when you realize what that is, I've seen a lot of people where once they identify that, they think, oh, then I'm really good at this. Life should just fall in line as I do it, and it'll just be easy because I'm good at this, and
Yeah.
the rest of life just needs to follow.
Yeah.
And see what I have and want that from me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
well, you're
that's-
exactly
yeah.
right. It takes extra work then. There's so many people, because we're raised in a society where it's exactly as you said. It's, you're raised and you're told, you get a 9-to-5 job, you get married you find somebody, you get married in your 20s, you have kids in your late 20s, early 20s for a lot of people, or younger now.
You get married after a year of knowing them.
Right, you get engaged after a year,
Oh,
you're married after a year, you
after-
have your kids
Yeah,
the
that's
next
right,
year,
yeah.
and then your
And it's
life
like,
is set.
ding,
and
ding,
then
wait, what?
and there's so much more
Yeah,
than that. If people
yeah.
choose that path, great, but then also figure out what's fueling you inside. Where's your passion? And know that when you find those areas, those parts where you have those gifts, where you have that spark within you, it does take a lot of work to really hone in on, to finesse that gift. Even if, as you said, if it's like being psychic, it takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of energy to finesse that, to get the courage to go out and to talk to people about it, and to get that confidence within yourself. It takes practice to build the confidence that you need so that you can really approach people.
Well, and like just going, if you're out in public and you're talking to someone who has an ache or pain and you're a healer,
Right.
the idea of saying, I can help that, and they go, oh, you're a doctor, and you go, no. That when you're outside of the norm of what people expect, you have to be able to have enough self-worth or self-confidence to say,
Right.
no, I'm not the norm. I am outside that norm, but I still can help you.
And that's another area where it takes work of learning the vocabulary that people can relate to. One of the biggest things with communicating with people is knowing how they can best hear the message from you, because it's not their job to hear what you're saying, it's your job to say it in a way that they can hear it. And that's kind of the pattern in life too.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely. Know
not
your audience.
right, and it's not everybody else's job to know what's great within you. It's your job to do the work to showcase what's great and to share that with the world. And I've
To
seen
market.
so many people too that have these spectacular gifts and they're too shy to even show them. And
Or to show anybody.
and what a loss to the world
Oh,
to not
absolutely.
have that beauty, to have that gift that's shown and shared with
Yeah.
the world. So
Yeah.
it takes work and it takes courage. I
Yeah,
think.
well, for you, like we find that there are people that they find they have a gift, or the gift comes out, and then they'll come to you, and it's just like they want you to just hand them, how do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
How does this work? I need all the answers, I need them now, and then so I can go do this. And it's just, well, I mean, one, it's your gift, and I'm not sure, and and it's, I mean, you help a lot of people, but there's a lot of times where they seem to just be, it's give me all the answers now.
Yeah, and it takes work
and it's like,
and time
yeah,
and
it's like,
practice.
that's not how it works. Nothing works like that, but because they think it's something that should come easy.
Especially when things are an innate gift. It's
That's
when
what-
you're,
yes,
yeah, I
exactly,
think that's
exactly.
mainly what you're referencing is when
Yeah.
it's an innate gift.
Yes.
And I know, like myself as a child, having the psychic gifts early on,
Mhm.
because it was an innate gift, I still had to work at it. I still had to really hone in
Yeah,
on
oh,
and figure
absolutely.
out how to utilize it and how to not let it overwhelm me too. I
And
think that's a big part of
Almost
that.
control.
Right.
Like, control your mind and your thoughts.
I know when I met you, I was at a point where we would walk around and I would hear everybody's stuff.
Thoughts
And
and-
sometimes I would go up and approach them and
Yeah.
let them know I'd relay messages
Yeah,
to them, but I
people
know
that had
sometimes.
passed, things they were going through, you
Right.
seeing their future, seeing the problems they were going through. You saw the whole.
More than I wanted
The
to.
whole world of each person. It was amazing.
And so sometimes I would go and I would share that with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times I just wanted a quiet dinner out with you
Yeah.
and I didn't want to hear
Yeah.
what's going on with table
Each-
number 7
each
or
table and each
the
person,
kids
and
at
yeah.
this table.
And our waiter and waitress and the
Right.
bartender and the.
And that took work though. It took
Yeah.
work to learn how to tamp down those filters, how to
Mhm.
close that off, because there's also a level of privacy that's really good to have
Absolutely.
for other people as well
Right.
as for
Right.
myself. And so, and it does take work, it takes time and energy, and for anybody, whether it's healing gifts, if you feel like you're really drawn to do healing, there's a lot that you have to do to work on it, educating yourself, practicing. I think with any
Not just
innate
doing it, but
gifts,
doing
it's
it safely.
practicing. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where educating yourself, learning how to ground yourself is so vital, and making sure you close the person you're working on, closing their aura when you're done. That's one of the biggest things I find I need to
You tell everybody.
everybody
Yeah,
who's starting
yeah,
to heal. Make sure you're closing that
Don't
person.
leave them open.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Because so many people in our culture, we're not as grounded as we should be. And
Well, we live on electronics, so no.
right, right. And electronics will impact your aura because your aura is an electromagnetic field. It's a current just like our electronics run on.
Yeah.
And so when you ground yourself, just like with electricity, you hear about grounding electricity,
the
we
third
need
quality.
to do that with ourselves as well. And that's where you'll restore your energy. That's where you'll feel like you can sustain yourself.
Yeah.
You'll let go of that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Stability. It gives you a sense of stability.
Exactly, that's the biggest thing, for the stability with
Yeah.
it. And I learned recently, I was talking with a friend of mine who's Muslim, and it was so interesting. He said, well, you know how we ground ourselves, right? And I was like, no, I hadn't.
Oh, yeah.
And so he showed me the way they pray. They do it 5 times a day, and they get down on their hands and knees, and they touch their head to the ground,
And they
and they do 4
physically
sets of it.
ground, and you go, oh,
Yeah.
wow, seems simple.
Right, and he said
Hadn't ever thought of it.
he had talked with a guy who was running a retreat. It was like thousands of dollars to go to this
Oh, yeah.
retreat, and one of the main things they were teaching at the retreat, one of the main purpose people were going there for, was to learn how to ground, how to find that stability, how to calm all of the stuff that goes on in our heads all the time. And he was taking them outside and getting them to get down close to the ground, getting them on all fours, getting their head to touch the ground. And that was the gist of this retreat. And there was a lot of, Dharma talks with it, spiritual talks with it, but that was the main point with it. And so, and the man running that was Muslim as well, so his friend asked him, he's like, how is that different than what I do every day? And he said, it's actually the exact same thing. He said, you actually are grounding even more because you're walking to the church, and you're getting that nature walk in as that exercise in being
To the
outside
laws.
as well as grounding. And so it's so significant. And so even if you do this in your home, if you just take that time and you get low and you touch the ground, if you feel like you're overwhelmed and you're just trying to, whether it's work or whether it's your psychic gifts or whatever it is, if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, you're probably needing to ground. So get low on the ground, get on all fours, put your head on the ground, and just feel yourself pouring that energy out into the ground. Any of that excess energy is going to go out into the ground, and you're going to get that positive flow, that nurturing current that comes from Mother Earth, because the Earth has this amazing ability to transmute any energy that goes into it, transmutes it to a neutral energy. So it can draw back up into you, refill you, make you make your energy
Stable,
calm, stable, refreshed.
grounded.
Exactly. And that takes work though, and it's surprising the number of people that don't want to take that time out, that don't take the time out to meditate.
They're so busy being overwhelmed.
Right.
They feel like they don't have time to refresh themselves, to do the things it takes.
Some of those things are so easy, taking, a few minutes a day to meditate. And often it's really hard at first too to meditate,
Yes.
to find that focus, to not have the thoughts come in. One of the things I talk about a lot with meditation is that you need to, if thoughts come in, don't fight against it. Acknowledge the thought and let it flow back out. Don't judge yourself. Don't be critical. Just acknowledge that it comes in and let it flow out. Return to that quiet space. Sometimes guided meditation helps to kind of get you in that mode of being able to meditate,
Absolutely.
to build the practice so that you can get to the point of having silent.
It's funny, because I've been meditating now for a little while, but I tried that Headspace
Yes.
app, and I got through 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I was going for the 7 to see how it progresses. It starts out real basic, just chill, just sit there for a minute, basically, is how it starts out. And so as you set time aside each day, and it tries to help you do that. So, as far as if you're willing and you want to do it, if you want to help with guided, that app Headspace is a pretty decent one from what I saw. The guy's voice is very nice too. It has had an accent. I don't remember the accent now that I tell you. I should remember. Anyway, had a nice accent, kind of just a light one, but it was just a thought.
Yeah, sometimes apps like that can help a lot. Headspace, I've heard so many good things about that. Yeah, and Deepak Chopra has a lot of meditations out too.
What's
And Oprah, the Chopra Center.
Chopra, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Chopra Center.
Yeah, they just finished doing another 21-day meditation experience. Periodically, if they do those, this last one was all about time, so it was really fascinating. I'm thinking about actually buying that one.
Because you're not
I
very
learned a
good
lot
at
from it.
dealing with it. So, makes sense that you like that.
And I put too much on my plate, and I think that's another thing in our culture as well, is so
Too much.
often we put too much on our plate. And it's important to, as much as it's important to practice what your gifts are and to do the work, it's also important to take time for yourself and to really give back to yourself.
Yeah.
What are other ways that you think people should focus in on
For life to work for you? Well, one that
putting the work in?
that's part of, there's a double, from what my experience is, it's kind of a double-edged sword in the sense that I think a lot of people really, the gifts they need to work more on, and I think they expect it to be easier, but on the other end of the spectrum, there are sometimes, if you keep pushing, and you think if you push long enough, you do enough things, eventually all the stuff will fall into place. And sometimes you end up just barreling over the stuff that you would have seen come across or could have helped you in your life moving it forwards, but you're so busy doing, you'll just barrel over the top of it and you'll never see it. You'll just right by it. And so the idea of actually meditation and taking the time for yourself, pulling back the reins on a whether it's a daily or a weekly, depending on how hard you push, actually will work in your favor, even though it feels like you're getting less done. That's the pattern of life, is that they expect a certain amount, but you can overdo, and if you overdo, it actually works as bad against you as if you did nothing.
That's a very good point.
And so the pulling back the work sometimes is one of the, but that's the hardest thing to find, Should I do more, should I do less? I don't know.
It's that balance. And then opening your eyes to see when things come to you. I actually learned that from one of the people that comes here often, as he's mentioned several times, that when you ask for opportunities and you're doing the work, you're looking for something, make sure you keep your eyes open so you see when those things happen. Yeah. You see when those blessings come to you.
Because if you're only looking in the same places you've always been looking, you absolutely won't see it. It will usually come out of somewhere that you never saw it before, so you really have to keep your eyes open.
Right, and then adding in with your affirmations, if you're saying affirmations and you're asking for something to manifest, add into that affirmation that you also ask that you see the opportunity when it comes your way. That's so important, to not be so busy that you miss seeing that
miss it,
opportunity. So ask to see the opportunity when it comes your way.
Well, that's the whole point
And
of
then
life.
seize it.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid when it comes. I see so much fear in our culture, so much fear. So
Of
don't be
everything.
afraid when those opportunities come your way to seize them. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Guess what? Life is going to move on,
Yep.
and it's going to be okay.
And so can you.
Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah.
You are going to be
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Have that faith in yourself, that
Yep.
confidence in yourself. And that's going to carry you a long way, too. That just genuine confidence in yourself. And if you think about it, you've made it through so much in your life. Every single person has such a story to tell. It's
Yeah.
fascinating when you, if you get to know anybody, pretty much everybody
Everybody
has a story to
has
tell.
an
And
interesting
we've
story to
all
tell.
made it through some really terrible days, and we're still here. Those of us that are still here,
Those of us that are still
there's
here,
so-
you're still here.
there's so much that you have overcome, and those are all things you can use to make strength within your life. So see those past hurts and see how you rose above it. See that strength within you, and then use those lessons to know how to carry yourself through the next hurdles too. Carrying yourself with even more strength, even more grace, and even more confidence, and really loving yourself through the process. I know I always talk about that, but that it always comes back to love. It is, because that's the core, that's who we are, that's what the soul behind everything is that love. And so when you see the love, when you face life with love, when you face your passions with love, you're going to find that desire to do the work because you're going to love it. You're going to find that,
You're gonna
find
love
that
it.
passion. And some things aren't so fun to do. They really aren't. But if you can
They're
find
not.
that passion.
Well, especially if if you're talking about doing the work, so you have a gift, and if you're doing the work to move that gift forward, if the gift is not a common gift, like a lot of yours are not, the work it takes to find the ways to make it work for you it's more work than going to college. It's more work than, it's an all day, every day, looking everywhere under every rock all the time kind of work.
And especially when it seems like there's this big shift. Like when we were in Arizona, everybody pretty much is into the metaphysical out there. It's a way of life. If you're not into the metaphysical, you know about it, and there's an acceptance.
There's a big ring. There is an acceptance,
And
but
so-
there's a big ring of people that's a lot
Right.
larger than out here.
Not everybody does it, but there's an
No,
acceptance
but there is
of it.
yes, most
And so
people,
when
yeah,
we came to
absolutely.
Michigan 10 years ago, oh my goodness, the culture shift, especially when it related to the metaphysical,
Yeah.
because this is part of the Bible Belt.
What
And
did the lady tell you? What'd she say?
Oh, with one lady that I
She
had
was-
talked to, and I
yeah,
had
you're-
mentioned to her that I was psychic,
She,
and she said, "Oh no," she said, "You
You're
have a
not.
woman's intuition."
You're not
It's like,
psychic.
whatever
You're
you want to call it.
intuitive. She was
She
like
said a
so.
woman's intuition.
Oh, that's what it was. Woman's intuition. She was. That's what you have. Serious, like that's what you have. Don't use that other word.
And that comes back again to terminology.
Terminology, yeah.
That's a human thing.
Yeah.
Vocabulary can mean so many different things, and
Absolutely.
it's all the
Yeah.
same thing.
It all comes back to the
And
same.
it all, it all comes from the same source
Yeah.
of love, because everything is a derivative of that source
Yeah.
of love. Some things fall off the track, some things come back on the track.
There's so
But
many
that just-
religions that believe in
core.
a God, and that God, it's the God.
But we're seeing a huge shift in just the last 3 years. It started about 4 years ago, where it really seemed to start opening up with the metaphysical in Michigan. And I'm not sure with other parts of the country down through the Bible
Right.
Belt if it's spreading to. But in Michigan, we're seeing this big trend about 4 years where it's starting to open up. 3 years ago, it started opening up more. In the last couple years, it's like on roller skates, and people are realizing, and they're
It's coming,
and so-
and there's no
and-
stopping it.
But at the same time, I find so many people that don't feel like they have somebody that they can talk to about it, because there's still a lot of fear,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of
And
that.
you just have to walk lightly around
Depending
certain
on who
people.
you're talking
and, yeah,
to.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's really about opening that up and making this a safe space for people, letting people know that as they're doing that work, as you're opening up with that, how can you create a safe space so you don't feel judged, so you don't have to question yourself, so that you can get that confidence,
Yeah.
and then not feel like you have to lose people in your life that you care about too, but
by
knowing
following that.
Right,
Yeah.
and finding that,
That's kind of part of people.
and part of the thing is
That's-
sometimes certain people will fall away too, and that's, it's learning where to let go and where you want to
Yeah.
open up
Yeah.
and finding your path, and that can be part of the work sometimes
that
too,
is part
is
of the work.
learning who's in your network, who are you flowing forward with, and just
You
kind
want to
of.
know who you are, you look at your friends.
Exactly, and so I'm hoping that more people will just continue to open, because especially when you start to really think for yourself, I think that, and we teach that a lot, in a lot of our life talks, we've
Yeah.
talked about, our ideas,
Yeah.
but we also let think about what
It has-
resonates with you.
it has to be right for you.
It's a person, your
absolutely.
life is a personal journey,
Yeah.
so see what resonates with you. If something doesn't make sense, question what that is.
Yeah.
Think about it
Yeah.
and find what does resonate. Just
Yeah.
because somebody tells you something doesn't mean that it's the true.
And it's not true for you.
Exactly, and that's a big part of the work, is
Yeah.
realizing, doing that inward journey. And that pertains whether it's, something that's academic, being good at tech, you're still going in and you're figuring out
Yeah.
what are you good at, how
Yeah.
can you figure this out? And the same thing happens with any type of metaphysical gifts, whether it's being a healer, whether it's leading meditation or whatever it is, there's an inward journey that comes with all of it. And learning to question and think to find what truth resonates within you. I think there's a light and a truth within all religions, and I think there's a lot of commonality within all religions, but the terminology is what's so different. And so when we can rise above and get away from just those language differences, I think that, in my personal opinion, as long as there's not fear and guilt, those are the two things that drive me nuts a bit
Yeah.
with certain religions. But if you can get past the fear and guilt and be the best person that you can be,
Yeah.
be that person that you would want to interact with in the world, then I think you're in a pretty good place for exploring and opening yourself up.
Absolutely.
And so it does take a lot of work to
So
be able
it is, that's
to
what-
embrace that,
it
to
does.
allow that to shine. And then that also comes back to the terminology and knowing who your audience is, knowing who you're talking to and how to phrase things in a way so that it's not scary to them.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to scare people. You don't want to create that, well.
Most people don't. I'm different.
But you also want to be true to yourself, and it's so
Absolutely.
important
And
to
that's the
feel that
most important.
integrity, that
Yeah.
authenticity with yourself, so that you know that you can be who you are, and you don't have to hide who you are, and you feel that you can let your light shine.
Exactly.
Don't ever feel like you have to dampen down your light to be around certain people. Really allow
It
that.
sucks sometimes, doesn't it?
I've been through that.
I know,
It's one
that's
of
what
those
I'm
things.
saying.
You've been through that journey
No,
with me.
I've watched you do it. Yes,
Yeah.
I would never even consider it.
You
but
wouldn't.
She's like, they don't seem to like that I really, who she is. So she's like, I will tune it down. And I just went, you're gonna do what? What?
And
What?
I've learned
In
you
the
have to
world.
be who you are.
And then when it was all said and done, she went, yeah,
I'm never gonna do that
That
again.
didn't work out well, did it? That was a horrible idea. But
And
hey,
when if you're around people that are like that, then it's time to change up who you're
That's
around.
exactly right.
Because people should accept you for who you are. You should be happy to be in the circle of people that are around you.
Yes.
And often it takes letting go of certain people so that you can allow the flow of those new people to flow in. And I think that's one of those big lessons in life sometimes, is life pushes us in a way so that we do have to let go of certain things so we can create space to allow the blessings to flow in. And that's, again, part of that work.
well, and knowing, what makes you happy, and especially in like groups and friends and coworkers and stuff. Are you the kind of person, do you like to help people rise, or do you like to be the person that,
You talk bad about
that's being
people.
lifted up, or but it depends on where you want to be in the group, and then when you get into a group, does that fit where I'm at? In this group, can I help this group go forwards in the way that I work best?
Mhm.
And and everybody has their own approach to that, and so it's finding that right spot. And just because you're in a group of people doesn't mean that's the group of people you should be in.
And that's another thing that's scary, is changing groups.
It's
And
true. Well,
it's scary to
anything
let
change, yep.
anything go, too.
People,
That's
yeah,
a
change.
big part of life.
The only guarantee in life is change, and it's the one thing we fight the hardest against.
Right,
Which
right.
doesn't make any
It's
sense.
an interesting life lesson, absolutely. And it's one of those laws of abundance too, is you have to let things go to
Yes.
create space. So if you want money in your life, you let money go, and, to the extent that works within your
Mhm,
budget
yeah.
and everything, you let money go, knowing that it's coming back
Come
to you
back,
multiplied.
yeah.
And so it's, learning to spoil yourself on occasion, treating yourself well, giving to others, helping the world,
And it
really,
comes back.
it does. It
Yeah.
really does. It's one of those ways that you can let your light radiate and impact the earth. If we all really try to focus on what you're good at, what your gifts are, and then allowing that light to shine and radiate out to the earth, then you are lifting up the whole community that you're in. Each
Well,
of
and
us
the
that
fact
do
of,
that.
and like when you say the abundance thing, I think so many people that like their first steps forwards, the thought of being successful is about how much money am I gonna make?
Mm-hmm.
And being happy in your world and being happy with your life and where you're at in it, a lot of times is worth more money than you could ever make.
So many people on their, if you research the words of people on their deathbed, so many people that have been like multimillionaires or,
Yeah.
a lot of money, one of their regrets is that they didn't spend time, they didn't do the things they wanted.
They didn't do the things that made them feel
The people that
fulfilled.
mattered to
Yes,
them.
exactly.
Yeah,
They didn't
yeah.
feel fulfilled in their life because what they were doing was chasing money.
And that can happen in any bracket
Oh,
of people.
absolutely, across the
It's-
board, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's,
if
are
you're-
you doing what
if-
matters to
Yeah.
you in life?
Like if all you're doing is chasing something, you're missing life as it's happening.
Yeah, and do you have a bucket list of things that you want to do in this life? Do you have things that you really,
Do you have
that
a bucket
matter to
list?
you? I
Do you
do.
have a-
Let me take them off here and there.
Is it a big list? I haven't even seen the list. You seriously have a list?
But
Nice.
it's important to know that and to check it off so that you have time to enjoy that in life. And
Absolutely.
it's, but that's, that also is part of that work of
Yeah.
making sure you know what it is you want, knowing what you like, and taking the time to do those things is so important.
Figuring it out, yeah.
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 Any final thoughts?
I think that's about it. Just takes work.
It really does, whatever it is you're wanting to do, whether if it's an inward journey, sometimes it's the work of meditating, sometimes it's the work initially of finding out what matters to you, finding out what really matters to you the most in life. What do you want to put your energy into? What fuels you? What gives you fire? What gives you passion? Who matters in your life? Now, when you think about the people that do matter in your life, how much time are you spending with those people versus other people? What things do you maybe need to change? What are you wanting to draw into your life? What are you wanting to create? Well, what are the steps that you need to do to create that change? What are the steps that you need to create? Writing a list really helps to connect the dots together of what it is you want and the steps you need to get there. Because it's one thing to meditate on it and to manifest. There's a lot of things you can do with creating abundance, whether it's love, health, whatever it is that you want in your life. You start creating that in the etheric as you meditate, as you call it towards you, as you say your affirmations, but you do need to take those physical steps to draw it to you. So making a list, writing that out, and then start checking off the things as you're doing it so that you're creating that life of your dreams. And before you know it, you're going to be living that life of your dreams. And it's going to feel like it wasn't as much work as it seemed to be in the beginning. It's not going to feel as scary as it seemed to be because you're going to start seeing things starting to click into play. If the people around you start changing, just notice how you feel with the new group of people that are around you. So really let go of that fear, embrace the change, know what it is that you want, write down those steps to create what it is you want, and then start checking those off. I hope this Life Talk helped you today. We really appreciate and enjoy all of you who've joined us. Please like our Facebook page. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. If you enjoy this Life Talk, please hit the like button down below. And we appreciate any of your feedback as well. And just a reminder, today head on down to Nob Hill Bed and Breakfast until 4 o'clock if you'd like to see all of the amazing artisans that will be there. And December 11th at Right Natural Health is the Crystal Grid class. Thank you so much. Have a great day.